Hello, and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year for June 17th, 2026. Solomon has now taken the throne after David's death, but the transition is not completely settled. David's final word named several unresolved threats and obligations, and the early part of Solomon's reign shows the new king securing his kingdom. Adonijah, who had previously tried to claim the throne, approaches Bathsheba with a request. He asks her to speak to Solomon on his behalf so he can marry Abishag the Shilbonite. Now, Bathsheba brings the request to Solomon, but Solomon sees it as more than a marriage proposal. Because Abishag had attended David, asking for her carries political meaning, and Solomon interprets the request as another move towards the throne. He orders Adonijah to be struck down. Solomon then deals with Abiathar, the priest who had supported Adonijah. Now, Solomon does not kill Abiathar, but he sends him to the town of Anathoth. Anathoth reminds me of the world of Hoth from Star Wars, but I digress. He spares his life, though, because he carried the Ark of the Covenant, and he also shared in David's hardships. David, of course, is Solomon's father. Now, Joab, who's the commander of the army, hears what has happened and flees to the tent of the Lord, taking hold of the horns of the altar. Solomon sends Benaiah to execute him there. Now, because Joab had shed innocent blood by killing Abner and Amasa, Benaiah replaces Joab over the army, and Zadok replaces Abiathar as the priest. Now, for those of you who thought that's a lot of really fancy names all at once, yeah, you're exactly right. How do you think I feel? I had to say them all. Now, Solomon also summons Shimei. This is the man who cursed David during Absalom's rebellion. He orders him to stay in Jerusalem and warns that if he crosses the Kidron Valley, he will die. Now, Shimei agrees and lives there for 3 years. When 2 of his slaves run away to Gath, Shimei leaves Jerusalem to retrieve them. Solomon calls him to account for breaking the oath and orders his execution. With that, the kingdom is said to be established in Solomon's hands. The narrative then turns to Solomon's marriage alliance with Pharaoh's daughter and his worship at the high places before the temple was built. At Gibeon, the Lord appears to Solomon in a dream and tells him to ask for whatever he wants. Solomon speaks of David's faithfulness, his own youth and inexperience, and the great number of people he must govern. He asks for a discerning heart to judge the people and distinguish between good and evil. The Lord is pleased with his request and grants him wisdom along with riches and honor. Solomon wakes and returns to Jerusalem and offers sacrifices before the ark and holds a feast for his servants. All right, let's jump into the New Testament now. After Stephen's death, persecution scatters believers from Jerusalem. Some travel as far as Phoenicia, Cyprus, and Antioch. The earlier chapters have shown the message reaching the Samaritans, an Ethiopian official, and the household of Cornelius. And now Acts follows the growing church in Antioch and a new wave of pressure in Jerusalem. Those scattered by persecution initially speak the words only to Jews, but some men from Cyprus and Cyrene come to Antioch and speak also to the Greeks, also known as the Gentiles, proclaiming the Lord Jesus. A great number believe and turn to the Lord. News reaches the church in Jerusalem, and they send Barnabas to Antioch. Barnabas sees evidence of God's grace and is glad. He encourages the believers and then goes to Tarsus to find Saul. When he finds him, he brings him to Antioch. For a whole year, Barnabas and Saul meet with the church and teach many people. It is in Antioch that the disciples are first called Christians. Prophets come down from Jerusalem to Antioch, and one of them predicts a severe famine across the Roman world. The disciples decide to send relief to the believers living in Judea, each according to ability. They send the gift to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. At that same time, King Herod begins persecuting some who belong to the church. He kills James, the brother of John, with a sword. Seeing that this pleases some of the Jewish leaders, he arrests Peter during a festival of unleavened bread and puts him in prison under heavy guard. The church prays earnestly for him. On one night, before Herod plans to bring him out, Peter is sleeping between soldiers bound with chains. An angel appears and lights fill the cell, and Peter is awakened. His chains fall off, and he follows the angel past the guard and through the iron gate, thinking at first that he has seen a vision. Now, once outside, Peter realizes that he's truly been rescued, and he goes to the house of Mary, the mother of John Mark, where many are praying. A servant girl named Rhoda hears Peter's voice at the gate and is so overjoyed that she runs back without opening it. The others struggle to believe her, but Peter keeps knocking. When they open the door, they are amazed. And Peter tells them how the Lord has brought him out of prison and asks them to report it to James and the brothers. And then he leaves for another place. And in the morning, when the soldiers find out that Peter is gone, they are, let's say, pretty stressed out. All right, let's finish today by reading Proverbs 15, and we're reading verses 1 through 10. And guess what? It goes like this. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise adorns knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. The soothed tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. A fool spurns a parent's discipline, but whoever heeds correction shows prudence. The house of the righteous contains great treasure, but the income of the wicked brings ruin. The lips of the wise spread knowledge, but the hearts of the fool are not upright. The Lord detests the sacrifice of the wicked, but the prayer of the upright pleases him. The Lord detests the ways of the wicked, but he loves those who pursue righteousness. Stern discipline awaits anyone who leaves the path, but the one who hates correction will die. All right, that is it for today's episode, and I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.